You know, sometimes a simple shopping trip can accidentally pull back the curtain on a much bigger story. A story about money, what we think things are worth, and, well, the hidden rules of the market. This is one of those stories. It all starts with a 500-pound purchase that ends up asking some pretty huge questions.
So imagine this. You walk into a shop, you're all ready to buy something you've already been quoted a price for, and then you hear this. 75 pounds each? That's a number that just immediately sets off alarm bells, right? And just like that, we're dropped right into the middle of a tense situation.
I mean, the plan couldn't have been simpler. The idea was just to pop into a local shop and grab some Silver Britannia coins. The buyer had already been quoted a price just 2 days before. It should have been a 5-minute in and out kind of deal. But, well, as we just heard, reality had something very different in store.
And just look at the difference here. The gap between what was expected and what was real is, honestly, it's staggering. The boss had said 48 pounds a coin. The weekend staff, though, they're asking for 75 pounds. That's not a tiny mix-up. That's a massive, out-of-the-blue price hike.
So what do you do in that spot, right? Do you just sigh and pay the crazy new price? Do you just turn around and walk out, or do you challenge it? This was that critical moment, the exact point where a simple purchase turns into a full-blown negotiation. This chart really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? We are talking about a 56% price increase, practically overnight. Seeing it laid out visually like this, you can almost feel the shock the buyer must have felt. It's the kind of jump that makes you question if you heard them right.
So the buyer didn't just roll over. The first move was to push back, but calmly, just stating the facts. Hey, I was just here, I talked to your boss, and he told me 48 pounds. It's a classic move in any negotiation, right? You ground the whole conversation in a previous agreement.
But the staff didn't give in right away. So the buyer made a really smart move. Instead of just standing there and arguing, they decided to get more information. Was this just one shop trying to pull a fast one, or was something bigger going on across the city? It was time for a little field research. And this little tour of the city revealed something fascinating. The second shop, totally sold out. The third shop only had 4 coins left, and they were charging 58 pounds for each one, which, by the way, is still way more than that original 48-pound quote. The big takeaway here is that these coins were suddenly hard to find, and they were expensive everywhere.
And why was everyone after these coins? Well, because the Silver Britannia isn't just some random piece of silver. It's one of the most recognized, most trusted bullion coins in the entire UK. That high demand suddenly explained why stock was so low and prices were so high all over town.
Okay, so now, armed with this crucial new info, knowing that 58 pounds was the going rate and that stock was super low, the buyer went back to that first shop. Now they had leverage. They understood the market way better. The negotiation was back on, but this time on very different terms.
And this is the turning point. The buyer laid out their case again, and this time the staff actually picked up the phone, probably to call the boss. That one phone call completely changed the game. It led to a breakthrough, and a new, much more reasonable offer was put on the table.
And here it is, the final deal. 10 Silver Britannia coins, priced at 50 pounds apiece for a grand total of 500 pounds. It wasn't the original 48, sure, but it was a heck of a lot better than the ridiculous 75 pounds the staff first quoted. And it was a better deal than the 58 pounds being charged anywhere else. A really hard-won compromise.
But even with a successful negotiation, the buyer makes a really important point. It's the most they have ever paid for these coins. And that little detail is key. It tells you that even a good deal is all relative to the current market, and it's a huge clue that the value of these things is definitely going up.
So the deal's done, but honestly, this is where the story pivots and gets really interesting. The buyer walks out with 10 silver coins. But what does that 500 pounds really represent? This is where we go from a story about a simple transaction to a much deeper look at the very nature of value itself.
Let's just pause on this number for a second. 500 pounds. To the buyer in the here and now, it was half a month's rent, a real-world, tangible expense. It's a decent chunk of change, for sure, but what it means can totally change depending on how you look at it.
And this right here, this is the core of the entire story. See, the buyer wasn't just thinking of that 500 pounds as rent money. They were also thinking about its potential. In a different time, under different circumstances, that exact amount of silver could have been worth 5 months' wages. It's a mind-bending idea that money can have two values at the same time, what it is today and what it could be.
Let's break that down even more, because it's pretty wild. Just 2 of those 10 coins, which cost about £100, could potentially equal a whole month's wages in a different economic reality. I mean, when you frame it like that £500 investment suddenly feels a whole lot heavier, a whole lot more significant.
So, it all leaves us with this question. How do you measure value? Is it about what your money can buy you today, like your rent? Or is it about what it could be worth down the line, like someone's wages? This £500 story, it's not really just about buying silver. It's a brilliant little case study that kind of forces all of us to ask, what's the real story behind the numbers in our own bank accounts?